Welcome to RPG Book Club, a podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we are starting our playthrough of Drakengard for the PS2. But before we get to all of that, how was everyone's week?
I went back to the optometrist, and my eye's doing a lot better. I can look at things now because, as I said before, steroids are good for you.
Of course.
When a legitimate doctor prescribes them. But I do have a scratch on my eyeball that is making my left eyeball sort of see double. And the optometrist is like, the steroids might make that go away, or they might not. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know if it's just like this now.
That sucks.
It's not too extreme, but I would prefer for it to not just be like this now.
Yeah, I mean, I would also not like that for you.
Other than that, I've been playing a ton of Death Stranding. There are enemies in the game called mules, which in the game, basically what you're doing is you're delivering packages. It's a game about being a delivery person in a post-apocalyptic America. And it's actually fun, despite that. But there are the world building is really tight and really explains everything that's happening in the gameplay really well, except the mules, which are human enemies, which are people who were delivery people who went crazy and got addicted to delivering things and now steal cargo. And that is the weak link of the world building because it's stupid. However, I look at how much I've been playing Death Stranding, and I'm like, maybe you can get addicted to that.
Maybe you should look in the mirror. Are you what truly separates you from these men?
Yeah. So that's all I have going on.
Okay. I went to my first appointment with my new doctor. I have finally have a primary care provider again, and that's awesome and kind of wild, and I'm really happy to be doing that. I immediately, a bunch of things are into progress now. Looking into getting help with my sleep, looking over to switching over to them. They have specifically that clinic has like a gender transition specialist area that I can start getting appointments with, and I can switch over to that instead of Planned Parenthood. I got a prescription for an antidepressant, which I've never done an antidepressant before, so let's see how that works. I hope it works. Trying to think about what else. Those like the big good things. I played the newest. I played the rest of episode 1 of the Devil, and holy fucking shit, it's so good. Absolutely rocked my brain. Oh, and so the newest episode of Actually was Buffy themed, and I already had on my list of things to watch with one of my girlfriends to take her through Buffy and Angel because she's completely unspoiled on that. Not completely, near complete. She knows there's a musical episode, but that's basically it, I think. And so I'm like, ooh, I get to show you these things as someone who grew up with Angel and not Buffy, but then got into Buffy later. And that has led to me dipping my toe back into Buffy fandom, and I'm like, oh no, this was quicksand. I'm being sucked in. It turns out there is way more Yuri ships in this fandom than I remembered. And no, they're not the ones that involve the canon lesbians of the show. Those are the... Listen, Willow's great. Willow's fine. And her girlfriends... Tara's much better. But like, there's other characters who feel like they're definitely sapphic, but the show seems to believe are straight. And I don't know how anyone would think that about Buffy Summers, but you know. I guess. Anyway, Sam, how's your week been?
So my week up until today has been great, but I've had a massive headache all day where I was telling the gang, hey, I have a massive headache. And they're like, okay, do you think that blah, blah, blah would work? And I had fallen asleep from headache pain in between those messages. And I just woke up to record the podcast. I feel a little better now, but it's been a pretty crappy day. But the rest of the week, I have just been scoring deals on deals on deals. So,
Nice.
as mentioned before, I'm moving to my own place next month, so less than 30 days from now, which is fun. And so I've needed to like duplicate a lot of the things in the house because now we need two for both houses. And so one of those things is the sound bar for the living room because all of our TVs have the world's shittiest speakers on board.
Mm.
And so I was taking the opportunity to be like, instead of just getting a new sound bar, I should get me an AV receiver so that I can plug up more things into the back of my TV. It gives you like 4 more HDMI ports on the back. And so I was looking around at how much one of those would cost me, and they're like the cheap ones that like you're compromising on a lot of things are like $450. If you really want a good one, you should pay around like $600 to $700, which is a lot because that doesn't even include the speakers. It's just the receiver. So I was browsing on Facebook Marketplace, and someone in the town of Columbus, Wisconsin, it's about like 30 minutes away from here, they were selling one that could do all the things I wanted for $50. And so I was like, that's perfect. I will drive 30 minutes to save hundreds of dollars. And so I get connected with them, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and grab it. But then today someone else posted one here in Madison, barely 5 minutes away from me, the basically the exact same one but from a different brand. Like all of the reviews I could find of them were putting these specific two ones head to head back in 2013, and they had one right over here, so I went and got that one for $20 cheaper. And so I grabbed that, which was awesome and felt great.
Yeah.
And then
I'm so glad you were able to get the thing that makes this more complicated than it needs to be, because I know how important that is for you.
absolutely,
It's extremely
100%.
important.
It's
That's how you give
very
Sam enrichment.
yeah. If I'm not stringing together tech that shouldn't belong together and able to make my life more complicated but better, then I'm not like why even do anything. But so while I was
You do it
riding
for
high,
love of the game.
I do. While I was riding high on that this morning, Newegg, their deal of the day is $100 of Nintendo dollars for $80, and I had budgeted $100 to get new shiny things for my Switch 2 when it comes out, and Survival Kids is $50, and Rune Factory 6 is $70, and that doesn't add up to 100. So I was having to choose my babies. Which one was I going to get on launch, and which one was I going to wait a month for? But if you take $120 and 100 of that only costs $80, that's now $100 again. And so I get both of those games on launch day, and I don't even have to compromise my morals to do so. So
Incredible.
I'm living large. The kids are a nightmare, and it's one of the worst parenting weeks of my life. But I'll fix that. It'll be fine. It's not like they'll suddenly have to live with separated parents within 30 days or anything. I'm sure all of their behavior problems will be over very soon. But I did play a lot of video games, and one of those video games that I played a lot of was Drakengard. So let's listen to some music and then talk about this weird ass, broken ass, stupid ass, kick ass game.
So before we start, I want to talk about a few things. One, I want to ask, do either of y'all have experience with the works of Yoko Taro or Cavia or all that?
No, none.
So I have the biggest like slight run-in with every single entry in the Nier franchise. So as I've often mentioned, I thought it was level 3. It's level 4. Because there's that really short level where you're actually level 2 is really short. I was skipping it in my brain. So level 4 where you come back and you have the dragon on foot for the first time. That one was my just I'm gonna turn my brain off and kill a bunch of guys game in high school, and I never got any farther than that. And then my friends that I played Drakengard with in quotes, they played and finished and enjoyed the game, and I was fine with level 3 or level 4. And they all played 2 and then and also liked it, and so I kind of got that through osmosis. Bernard and Maddie don't ever stop talking about Drakengard 3, and so I've got that one through osmosis. My friends in college were obsessed with Grandpa Nier on and so I got that one in osmosis, and then I played the Nier Automata up until the robot orgy, and
You're gonna have to be way more specific.
the robot orgy at the carnival. Fairly close to the
That
beginning.
narrows it down a little.
And so I played up until that point, and the something about the gameplay systems like wasn't quite like gelling with me, and I was just renting it from the library. So when my time got up at the library, I sent it back, and I never got around to finishing it. So I have touched everything but the mobile game a little bit, but have fully actually played none of them so far.
I think the reason you weren't really connecting with Nier Automata is that it's good in normal ways instead of it's good in weird ways and good in normal ways, whereas most of the earlier games are good in weird ways
Mm-hmm.
only. But probably the fact that it was unambiguously good in a way that everyone can agree upon, that probably put you off.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
I
was
do
like,
want to relate.
I was like, wait, you have a combo that's not 3 tediously slow hits? That's weird. I can't play this game after Dragon Card 1 and do a 3-hit combo for literally 1,000 enemies.
Two things. One, your thing about playing this game back in the day when you were younger, and specifically just doing the on the dragon, killing a bunch of people, just replaying that enemy or that level over and over again is, as someone who spent way too many hours playing RuneScape when I was a kid, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
There is just there for some people there is a draw to just I do thing over and over again, and my time drains away, and it's nice, and it pleases some part of the brain.
Yeah, I do cross stitch now. In high school, I killed 1,000 enemies on level 4 of Drakengard.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say was, while I have not played any Yoko Taro games before, I am a trans woman, And Nier Automata is a pretty well it's kind of considered trans girl homework, and it's trans girl homework I've been putting off for a long time. And I was talking to my wife's wife, Emma, wonderful voice actress and other thing, Let's Player Emma Void. She's delightful. And we were talking about this whole thing, and I was like, well, when you think about it, don't you think the fact that I put the hundreds, if not thousands of hours into Fallout New Vegas, doesn't that kind of also cover Nier Automata in my trans girl homework? And she said, no, that's like saying that you've done so much social studies homework that you don't have to do your English homework.
Yeah.
Which I think is a delightful metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is my first time putting a toe in the Yoko Taro pool, which is a weird place to start, despite it being the beginning, apparently.
Yeah, so this is Yoko Taro's first directorial game, his first game he directed, his directorial debut. The game was conceived by the producers, Takamasa Shiba and Takuya Iwasaki. They were like, let's make an aerial battle game like Ace Combat, because they want to do a dragon. And you might say, but then shouldn't the parts where you're flying on the dragon be good? And I would say, this is a Cavia game, baby. It's not supposed to be good. It's supposed to be interesting. But after they saw how Dynasty Warriors was popular, they were like, hey, let's put Muso into this. So it's also a Muso game.
Mm-hmm. And they looked at all of the big flashy combos that you get to do in a Muso game, and they're like, no, 3 tediously slow hits. That's what we're doing. That's how you're going to do it. That's this game.
I love it. So Yoko Taro directed the game and co-wrote it with Sawako Notori. And you might have heard that Yoko Taro's games are weird and fucked up. I happened to, while I was looking up information for this segment, I happened to see some spoilers in the plot summary on Wikipedia. And this game is way more fucked up. This game is way more fucked up than the others. Looks like most of the really fucked up stuff is in the
the what
post credits stuff. So maybe we won't have to talk about it too much. Hopefully it doesn't bring down the mood too much. And that's another thing. These games, the Nier / Drakengard games, because they are in the same series, weirdly enough, their thing is that you roll credits, and that's about half the game. You go through, you continue playing, and you go through different loops, and you experience things differently, and you see things from different perspectives, and crazy different things happen. We are only covering up until the first ending of this game, because well, I was like, we should play Drakengard, because I want to play Drakengard. So we should put that on the poll. Even though I've played Nier Gestalt, I have played Drakengard 3, I have played Nier Automata, it did not occur to me, for some reason, that Drakengard 1 would be structured this way as well. But just from looking at stuff and trying not to be spoiled too much, it looks like maybe in this one, the main story is just like the main story, and then the extra stuff is more like what-if scenarios. So maybe it's not as important as in like Nier Automata. If you've played all the endings of Nier Automata, you know if you stop at the first time the credits roll, you have not played the game. But yeah. So trying to think if there's anything else that is important. They chose the title Dragon Dragoon because it sounded cool. But then they were like, that isn't gonna sound like anything to English speakers. That's going to sound stupid to
Yeah.
English speakers. So they changed it to Drakengard or Drakengard. However you want to pronounce it.
I love that now there are 3 like B-level RPG and RPG adjacent franchises that use Dragoon for person who rides dragons, and that's not what it means. And that just now has become what it means because of these 3 games. For Panzer Dragoon, Legend of Dragoon, and Dragon Dragoon.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love it.
So yeah, this is a early game from Cavia, 2003, in its original release, in Japan. Came out in 2003. Cavia was a real weird video game developer in Japan. It says here the company name was apparently an acronym for Computer Amusement Visualizer, although the company's website also claimed it referred to caviar.
All right.
So they made lots of weird, janky, low-budget games, lots of licensed games, and they made some stuff that is really incredible, such as their last game, Near Gestalt or Near Replicant. As much as it pains me, I won't get into that now. But their last game, the first Nier, not the first Drakengard, the first Nier, is an absolute masterpiece. And they did remake it after, because I don't know how, but Yoko Taro kept getting to make games. And after Cavia shut down, I guess Yoko Taro was like, "Hey, Square Enix, you know those weird ass games that I made, that I worked on, and at that company that shut down, can I make a bunch of new games in that series?" And they were like, "Yeah, I guess." And then after Nier Automata was actually really successful, they remade the first Nier. I haven't played that version though. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling about this.
I mean, I enjoy listening to it because I know basically none of this.
Well, I can tell you what the difference between Near Gestalt and Near Replicant is later if you want.
In a post show.
Yes.
But for now, I guess it's up to me as the note-taking person this time to talk about what we actually played in the first 2 chapters of Drakengard. Our tale starts with a first chapter that is appropriately called Beginnings. And what fantasy story doesn't start with some expository text establishing its world building? Well, a lot of good ones, honestly, but I'll try not to hold that against the game. This story is set in an ancient time where dragons are still around and the Earth is dominated by 2 great powers, the Empire and the Union, who've been engaged in war over the fate of a goddess who is said to safeguard the world. As we begin, the Empire is swelled in strength and marched upon the Union stronghold, ready to take the goddess. From here, we get a cutscene that begins with said goddess, Furie? I don't.
I think they pronounce it. I think they pronounce it Furii.
Yeah, Furii.
Furii. Okay, Furii.
Just imagine an eyeball with fur on it, and you'll never forget it.
Who seems not very divine, and more just like a regular girl, who is praying as the fighting occurs outside the castle. Said battle is bloody and grim, as her brother Kaim does his best to slaughter these Empire soldiers who dare to try and take his sister. I think he cuts one dude in half, but then he sees the castle is being directly assaulted, and he rushes in, and that's when we get our first taste of the gameplay. So, as Bernard said before, this is a Dynasty Warrior sort of game, and one of my metamorphs has informed me that's called a Muso, is the name of that genre. There's a lot of bad guys. There's so many bad guys, and you cut through them, and you do what are technically combos, and you try to avoid being killed yourself.
You do combo.
All while there is a kill counter in your bottom right, which keeps growing. You've also got like magic attacks, and of course, the more guys you kill, the more experience you get, and that'll help you level up and stuff. That's the game. Our hero rushes through waves and waves of Empire soldiers, staining the earth red with their blood as he goes. But then he gets to the castle courtyard and he finds a dragon, which is chained up and about to die. Now, you might think, Kaim should like free the dragon or something to try to fuck up with the Empire. But there's a problem with that. Dragons killed his parents, so he hates dragons a lot. And hating is Kaim's favorite thing in the world to do. He's the ultimate hater.
He's just anger. He's just so mad all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he and the dragon talk.
That's great.
Oh, good. Listen, I love having a protagonist whose definitional character trait is, wow, this guy hates everything and everyone.
Except Furry Eye. He likes Furry
Eye. He likes Furry Eye, and he seems to have a friend in that other dude who's a character who exists.
Maybe.
Anyway, Kaim and the dragon talk, and the dragon kind of sounds like Frieza from the old Dragon Ball Z dubs.
Yes.
And Kaim is about ready to kill the dragon, but then, totally forgot to mention, Kaim's mortally wounded too, and I would make some joke about how this clashes with the gameplay we just did, except I did get stabbed by those enemy soldiers so many times on the way here, so a brutal blow through the torso is not exactly a shocker.
No.
He did, in the opening cutscene, he did get slashed in the back, so he was mortally wounded, then did all that stuff.
I guess
So
it just...
he's a real trooper.
Okay, but like you said, he gets slashed in the back. It looks like he has someone stuck their sword straight through his torso. Which, to me, those didn't line up as being the same injury.
I don't know, but point is, there's a lot of blood coming out of him.
Yes.
And he needs that.
And it's the only kind of blood he doesn't like coming out of a person. Kaim proposes a pact. If they do this, both he and the dragon will be healed of all their injuries, and if the dragon doesn't agree, he gets to kill a dragon. So it's really win-win as far as Kaim is concerned. After some more Empire soldiers attack and Kaim kills them, the dragon eventually relents. Neither of them really want to die. So, yep, they're bonded and stuff. It's Dragonheart. The cutscene of them forming their pact is like they each rip their soul out of their body and then they like mingle and their souls look like the sticky bombs from Smash Bros.
That's do.
While they were doing that, I was like, wait, that's just a thing you can do in this world? It's just like, all right, time to bond. Let me just reach inside of my own chest and pull out my soul.
That's exactly how I was feeling when that happened too. I was like, what the fuck is happening? You can just do this?
And
anyway,
it occurred to me the way they put them together was very reminiscent of in Nier Automata how this happens right at the beginning, the first time it happens, but two of the characters, they like take out, I think it's called a black box because they're androids. I think it's called a black box. They take them out and they put them together to annihilate themselves. And just the way they put the things together, the exact hand motions, it looked very similar. So that's fun if you've played that game.
Neat. Yeah, with that pact made, they're both healed. The dragon breaks free of the chains, and Kaim climbs on the dragon. And now we get a section where we fly around on a dragon, and we shoot Empire war balloons and stuff with dragonfire.
Mm-hmm.
This part of the game, it sure does exist. And that's about all I can say about it.
Hey, this first one doesn't full on suck. So it's got that going for it.
You're right. It doesn't full on suck. You're so correct.
When I play these segments, I'm just like trying to survive until I can get my magic meter all the way up so I can use my magic attack.
So you can kill everything on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. It really feels like a 2D bullet hell, like those moves that are clear the whole screen of enemies. It's that, but in 3D space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing, more so in later ones, feels like a bullet hell, except the thing with the bullet hell is you can see everything happening, and the controls are tight. And so here, it's like, I'll be headed towards a group of enemies, and like I won't get them all in my homing attack or whatever, and so I'll be passing through them, and before I can like get some space to turn around, they've all shot me in the back, and I've just lost half my health because I could not dodge it because I could not see it. It is
eventually the game informs you, by the way, if you press the R1 and L1 together, you do a flip around. And I'm like, hey game, you should have told me that, I don't know, way earlier.
Yeah, when I found out I could do that, I was so happy I could do that, but also I was like, I would have liked to know that earlier.
The
I
game
should have read the
has-
instruction manual that came with my copy that I got at Walmart.
There's also I don't even remember when I did this or how I figured this out. I don't think the game up to where we played has tutorialized about this at all. But in on the foot sections, R1 and L1 are dodge rolls, and I'm like, I would have loved to know that game because I was like, how am I supposed to dodge?
And
I
the
hope
thing is, with the way this game is, you can't would be an answer you would accept as true.
Yes,
So
100%. That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought the answer was.
Speaking of L1 and R1 being dodge, what the fuck is up with the right stick? Why is that what that does?
it controls the camera.
No, it doesn't. No, it
It
doesn't.
moves the camera. You can't say it doesn't move the camera.
It feels like what R1 does is it's like your character reaches around and grabs the camera and fights control of it with the cameraman.
Yeah,
and the problem is the cameraman is much stronger than Kaim is. And so you never win that power struggle ever.
Yeah, so specifically what it does is your camera is attached to your right stick. So when you move it to the side, you look at Kaim from the side, and then you let go, and it goes back behind Kaim. You don't get to control your camera; you get to momentarily look in other directions, and it is a very odd choice, and I don't enjoy it. And there have been so many times where like I'll be like running at the group, and I'll do the stabby thing because that's how you can get a bunch of people at once. I'll do the stabby thing and then need to turn around, and the camera just will be like, just run at the camera. That's fine. You don't need to see. It's okay. And it sucks. I love it.
You can get the camera behind you by blocking, if I recall correctly, but it took a lot of unlearning for me to not try and, use the right stick the way God intends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Most importantly, your controls do not update. So if you rotate your camera to the right, up goes right, and it is so weird.
Funky. It's real so funky. So we head back to the castle, and now we learn how to switch back and forth between Kaim on the ground and Kaim on the dragon whenever you want. You gotta take out a bunch of specific dudes, and then some more specific dudes, and then you get inside the castle, and you climb stairs, all the while increasing your body count higher and higher. It's also here, when you first enter the castle, that you learn the price of the pact. Kaim can't talk anymore, and he has a seal of the pact on his tongue. Disability as a payment for a magical thing, that's awesome. That's a great trope. Sure. That was sarcastic. I actually really hate that trope. I should say, the dragon is all too happy to speak for Kaim, and I'm of two minds about that. On the other hand, I'm gonna miss hearing Kaim. But on the other,
I absolutely will not. I hated Kaim's voice acting.
Aww. I'm happy to not hear from him anymore because honestly, I don't think he has a lot to say. We know he hates the Empire. We know he hates dragons. We know he hates everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he speaks telepathically to the dragon, and the dragon answers, it's always like, "Oh, you want to go kill the Empire? Okay, cool."
Yeah. But the other side to this equation is that the dragon talks like so much. Complete chatterbox. Also, this pact means that their lives are now inextricably bound, so if one dies, the other one does. Again, I have seen Dragonheart.
Well, I haven't.
I haven't either. I'm sure that the listeners are cackling to your references.
It's just literally the plot of Dragonheart.
I did look up Dragonheart, and yeah, it talks about how a pact was made with the dragon to keep a guy alive. And if I recall correctly, the plot summary said that the guy might not have been a good dude, and Kime might not be a good dude.
Yeah, no, the main character Dragonheart is a horrible person, and it's like, wow, did the dragon make a mistake saving this guy's life? And yeah, it has the if one dies, the other dies thing. Yeah. Anyway, the dragon also tells Kime that he can't live on hatred alone, which, considering the events to follow, it feels like Kime took that as a challenge.
Yeah. we don't have to know that Kime telepathically said, "Watch me."
Anyways, you get back to the real task at hand, killing people. Just filling graveyards, feeding the crows, making a surplus in the secondhand armor market. Once you get to Furry Eye's room, you find her with Inuart, Kime's best friend, and the goddess's fiance before she became a goddess. I guess becoming divinity means you gotta cancel your engagements. Was he just intimidated to date a goddess and he felt like he had to call it quits? Couldn't be me. Oh, and there are also Empire soldiers here, and neither of them are able to handle them. But that's where Kime comes in, and we know how good he is at this. With the riffraff out of the way, Kime just keeps stabbing one of the guys he's just killed, leading Inuart to try to tell him to chill, but also apparently saying something about how this is kind of normal for Kime. Which, wow. Though the not talking while he stabs is not normal, so Kime shows them his tongue in a dialogue portrait that just makes me feel uncomfortable when I look at it.
It's so bad good.
Inuart says the castle isn't safe, which, no shit. We literally haven't seen any other non-Empire people aside from the 3 people in this room and a dragon. So he suggests that we head to neutral territory to the elves. But first he plays a song. Sure, dude.
Which is a weird move.
Yeah. This leads to Chapter 2, Complications, which begins in a camp. Now, I immediately thought something was going to go wrong, and this was going to be a battle scene, because Kime has all the same animations here that he did in the slaughtery sections of the game, and the interface is still up with the kill count and his health, and yeah, but no, this is just a talking to people.
This is just how he sees the world all the time.
I was deeply unsettled by this, for reasons I honestly do have trouble putting into words. I found myself worrying if I press the wrong button, is he just going to stab his sister to death? You can talk to Furry Eye, which I feel like is the first time she has spoken in this game so far. So
in the first cutscene, she said, "It begins."
Okay, okay, sure. But I'm going to take some notes for later on this. And also, she has to say, really, is that, like, you know, because she's a living seal and a goddess, she has to keep on living, which is, you know, normal thing to say. Definitely not a worrying sign. Feeling like you are obligated to continue living because of your obligations to other people. Also, she doesn't want to impose on the elves, to which I would argue that depending on where you're drawing your elvish lore from, imposing on elves is kind of a fantasy requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to Inuart has the dragon reveal that the elf village has already been attacked, and I realized I don't know this dragon's pronouns, so I put she, but again, sounds like Frieza, so I'm not sure. Thinks that they should head somewhere
Dragon
else.
also hasn't gotten a name yet, has it?
No.
I know it, but they haven't said it yet.
But then the goddess collapses, apparently due to the seal that she's embodying or whatever. Anyways, we get a flying section, and there are bats, and I hate it.
The dragon is
I hate it. It's awesome. But this section I hate. I feel like Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's bad.
Yeah.
These bats are awful.
The bats.
Bat done.
The bats. And beyond the bats being awful, the balloons have upgraded to be like an airship now that you have, like, I feel like you only can do damage from them if you're above them. Like, I feel like the bottom of the boat doesn't like absorbs the thing, and so like for some reason, every time there's one of those, I like end up dying just from running into it. Not even like
Yeah.
they're cannons or anything. I'm just trying to do damage, and
Getting
I
an
run into
angle
them
where you
enough.
can hit it at all is difficult. And honestly, I think the issue is it isn't like it has one health bar for the whole ship. It feels like it has multiple health bars for different sections.
Mhm.
Which, if that is the case, not super clear, and it's so awkward to fight.
Yeah, I save my my magic for the bats and for these because I can't be bothered to figure out how to do it properly.
Anyway, with that part done, we get to a ground section as we reach the forest where the Empire is once again just everywhere for us to slaughter. But now they have catapults and mages, and there's a special kind of red soldier who resists magic attacks. And by that I mean they send fuck you spells at you if you try to use a spell. Fight through all those guys and the fog and the bushes that the enemies sometimes get caught on, and you find the elf village. And yeah, it's destroyed. Everyone seems to be dead. The dragon was right. Everyone's distraught, but then the dragon says that she can hear someone called Hierarch Verdelay from far away, which
Art
means that
Vandalay.
Huh? I thought it was
Seinfeld
Hierarch.
reference.
Oh, never forgot. Okay. I don't get Seinfeld references.
It's a bit of a dated reference at this point.
I mean, I get some of them, but not. I'm not a big Seinfeld girl.
Valid.
But anyway, the fact that the dragon can hear him from this far away means that this Verdelay guy is a pact bearer too, and his is with a petrified dragon. He's at some desert temple, and he wants the group to meet him there. Oh, and then in one of those clunky between scenes bits of text, it explains that the hierarch is the spiritual leader for the Union. Okay. There's some dialogue between Kaim's sister and his bestie, and it's whatever, I guess. We get something more interesting when we find a dead Empire soldier who seems to have scrawled with his own blood a warning about the Watchers. We get a hint about what that might mean when we find a single elf who's still clinging to life, saying that the rest were taken to the shrine of the cult of the Watchers. I always knew Giles was bad news. Listen, I've had Buffy on the mind. I had to. And the Watchers is just easy swing. The Let's Play I'm using for notes calls this next section in which the developers make it known they hate the player and small children. And you know, that seems pretty accurate. We get to another flying section, and it turns out bats aren't actually the worst thing, because griffins are. They're so terrible. I hate this.
I actually had fun fighting the griffins.
Oh, I did not.
The bats, the problem with the bats is that all of them have projectile attacks, and they spawn 900 of them at a time, and so it's impossible to deal with them cleanly. The griffins have the same attack as the bat, so you're used to that. They just fly better, and they actually like ramp you up in difficulty here, which they don't ever do anywhere else. And so you fight one by itself, and then you fight a group of them later on in the thing. And I thought that was a lot of fun, actually.
Okay, well, I'm happy for you.
I don't think it was good. I said I thought it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
There's a big difference there.
Anyway, you fight through this forest, and it's a lot of busy work. And if I hadn't grinded a bunch on the free expeditions, which I'll get to that in a minute, it probably would have been really hard. But instead, it was just kind of tedious. And then you get to a shrine, and there's a dead guy there, and no elves. Apparently, they've been moved again. And the dragon's like, oh no, I can't hear Verdelay anymore. So that's bad. And then this elf kid crawls up to us asking for our help, to which Kaim responds with a boot to the child's face. Okay.
Yep.
We now meet our second playable character, who is about to kill himself with a knife through the throat after his home has been burned down and his brothers are slain. He can't go through with it, but then a fairy comes in to taunt him. And honestly, she's my favorite part of this game so far. She's so terrible. She goads him a bunch, and then is like, hey, we should just make a pact, loser. So they do. Off screen. Then you're back to playing as Kaim. Killing more stuff in the forest. Now there are goblins. And then eventually you find that guy who made the fairy pact, and his name's Leonard. Okay. Leonard lost sight for his pact, which... Yeah, still really don't like that aspect of the world building. Anyway, he's part of the crew now. He joins us, and that's about it. We head off. We'll see you next week for Chapter 3.
But first, we're going to listen to some music and then talk about our surely multitudinous memorable moments.
We've been having a lot of fun.
No,
well,
100%.
maybe we haven't. But I gotta make it clear, I love this game's storytelling.
Oh, I absolutely do.
I am having a great time with all of these awful people and seeing the awful things they do and the weird tone and just how upsetting this whole thing is. I love it. And I love how the world building is sort of weird and vague. Like, we've talked about this before. I love weird, vague world building. Like, they don't sit down and explain what it means that Furiae is a goddess. We just get, apparently she became a goddess because she has a brother who appears to just be a normal human.
By some definition of the word normal.
And yeah, it's interesting. I like it.
I definitely think there's going to be... clearly, I think there's going to be some interesting world building happening. So far, it is definitely in a... The vibe I get from it is... The word it keeps coming back to me is grimdark, which I don't think is really the right word. It is stripped down and bleak, are I think the better descriptors. This is a world of grays and browns, of monotonous killing until there are mountains of corpses behind you, and that's purposefully the vibe it's going for. The thing when I talked to my wonderful girlfriend Emma is that she said... she described it as, this game hates you, and that's the point. And she's not giving me too much, because apparently a lot of ink has been spilled about this game, a lot, which doesn't surprise me. It's a Yoko Taro game, but I get this feeling of just I'm supposed to not enjoy this. I am supposed to be playing this and being wow, this guy's awful. This guy, he does, again, kick a child in the face for basically no reason. And a dragon keeps calling him out on being such a bastard.
Yeah, I enjoy the dragon's... The dragon has a very negative view of humanity. She's always talking about how humans are violent and driven by hate and stuff. And I'm I wonder how much of that, is that just a view of it that you got from watching us from the outside, and now you've met Kime, and that's sort of just confirming everything, everything that you had thought. I like the dialogue. I like the voice acting. I really like the dragon's voice acting. I think it sounds cool.
Yeah, I love her quips while you're going through. There's one when you're on the way to the shrine, and she's like, if this counts as a shrine, then a hovel is a castle.
Oh, it's very good, yeah.
I also I like how we aren't told the details of the pact right away, and then we have the next verse. They're not called levels, they're called verses. Sam. It's chapters with verses. It's like the Bible.
I love how I settled on a level, and before the verse starts, it's called a verse, and when it's done, it says mission complete. I had two options that would have been fine. I'm like level 1.
I forget where I was going with that. Oh wait, no. So for the next verse, you just are playing, and you're just like, Kime isn't as talkative as he was. That's
Yeah.
weird.
And there's towards the end of that one, the not seen, but apparently you have an army fighting with you for the first set of levels, and the general of that army is one of the people that constantly is yelling in the corner, and at part of it he's like Kyle, are you alive? Like, come in, anything? And, yeah,
Over.
and I thought that was pretty cool. Though now that I say it, I think they're supposed to be with you all the time, because in one of the, like, on the way to the ferry, where you're fighting the wizards, which fuck the wizards, we'll get there. When you're
Those
fighting
wizards are awful.
When you're fighting the wizards, that guy is there talking too. So I think you have a strike team off screen that doesn't do anything. Because
maybe if we could turn the camera around, we could see him.
But we can't.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, fuck those wizards, man. Like, so bad.
They suck.
It sucks so bad. They're programmed to, if you come on the dragon and you get anywhere close to him, every single one that has been spawned in hits you with the fireball, and before you finish the animation of I've jumped up on the dragon, they knock you off and you get right back on the floor. And then they don't stop shooting those fireballs, and you have to basically stop moving to do your crappy 3-hit combo. And it's just like, I almost died like 3 times. And it was
the thing with me with that section is I felt fighting one, I really had an issue. But when you kill the first one, it's like, oh no, now there's a bunch more of them, and there's literally like 40 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of wizards.
There's so many.
The Empire has a lot of guys.
It really does.
And the game's like, listen, the Empire somehow suddenly Palpatine returned. The Empire has got a lot of dudes now. We don't know how. They just do.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna bring up the one thing I think is interesting. I do want to keep track of is, like I said, Furry Eye barely says anything.
Mm-hmm.
Her ex seems to talk way more than her, and I think I'm choosing to believe this is a game that is doing funky stuff on purpose and is written by a guy who knows what he's doing, and so is putting in purposeful themes, like with Kime's hatred, and specifically with Furry Eye. This is a woman who is both your sister and a princess and a goddess.
Mm-hmm.
And she's occupying these 3 roles at once that are very archetypical roles, different kinds of archetypical roles, but all archetypical roles in storytelling. And she is, so far at least, a character defined by her importance, but also her frailty. And the fact that she doesn't talk much, she hasn't really done anything, but her being alive is vital, and we must protect her from the bad men, because the bad men want to get her, and that's the end of everything. And that's saying some things. There is definitely some things to read into that, in the way that women in so many fantasy stories fall into this archetypical role of being the object of people's attention and their goals without being a person as much. And I think that's neat, and I feel like that is an intentional thing, and I hope to see the game where the game goes with that. I don't know what to make of Leonard so far, except that Leonard's kind of a weird name for a guy in a fantasy game, but that's just me.
Furry is not the kind of female character that you associate with Yoko Taro. She's not a badass with white hair who will straight up kill you.
Yeah.
Which is what we usually associate with Yoko Taro. Kaine, Zero, 2B to some extent, but more the other one whose name I forget, A something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know this, so I will 100% take your word on it.
So speaking of themes and doing things on purpose, I know that it is problematic, and in a proper world, there would be disabled characters everywhere, so it wouldn't be a problem. But like the DM game designer of me thinks, yeah, you should definitely take a you don't just get the buff for free. You have to take a -1 to get your +1, and so I like that in a vacuum. For the record, I think it's cool story wise. I don't think it's cool that this is one of the only ways that you get disabled representation. So
Yeah, as
I,
a friend of the pod, the game professor loves to talk about with many things that me and I get into disagreements about, is he'll
mhm,
talk about like, yes, this is a bad trope in aggregate, but in this example, it's being used for something interesting, and I'm always willing to be like, yeah, sure, but it still shouldn't be the go-to. It
yeah,
shouldn't be where people's brains immediately go.
yeah.
And
If this
I
was
think it is
the
telling.
if this was the only game that did it, I think it would be cool. It's not though. It's
I
not at all.
Even then, I still think, even because it is ultimately still viewing these disabilities as punishments. They're costs. They are a thing you are taking on karmically for some other gain, which is a very shitty way to view disabilities.
Yeah.
like I specifically, I have a friend who is blind, and loves to talk about the ways blind people are often represented in media, and this just falls into so many other things. Without saying this to a character, there's a character in Stormlight that my friend has a lot of thoughts about because of how that trope is used. And it's just it is a thing that I think is interesting, but I can't help but feel like, isn't there some way you could do something like this without making the cost a literal real world physical disability
Yeah. Like
and tying
I
those two together?
I would love if, like, Times in particular, being the seal on his tongue, opens it up where it's like, oh, the other people, like, where you put the seal could affect you, and they could do fantasy ass shit with it. So like one person gets it on their arm and now they have a weird fucked up arm sort of thing, and so it's like, oh, it affects part of you, and so Chimes in microcosm isn't as bad, but the 2 out of 2 that we've seen so far is just regular disability, which is not as
Yeah.
great. But I mostly bring it up because while playing this, I realized that one of my first RP characters back on GaiaOnline.com, uh, I had just stolen Kayam, but a good guy, and so
I would
like
argue there's very little of Kime left at that point.
yes, but they had a dragon, and as part of the pact, they had lost their ability to speak. They then didn't kill millions of people, so that's kind of where the things ended. But while playing this, I was like, oh, I'm not creative. I just had completely forgotten about this storyline of Drakengard, and then went on to make an RP character. Everyone around me who had played and finished the game probably thought that I was a hack.
hmm
Oh,
there is something, like we've talked about, to the gameplay of this game that I do just think is fascinating, because it is, first of all, like, I 100% understand how a younger you just was like, I'm gonna kill billions of dudes in this game, because it is a thing you can just sink time into, and it just kind of numbs your brain a little bit.
it and
And
it's very very rhythmic. So like with
yes,
Chime's sword, which of the 3 weapons I have is demonstrably the best one.
oh, 100%.
Fuck the hammer, it's so bad. But
Haven't even
with
tried to use it. I've sunk all the experience into that sword.
with the sword, you do 2 hits, and then you press triangle to get your magic enhanced hit, and you do that over and over again, and it's just very rhythmic and chill. And so I just would hop off the dragon when you're not supposed to. There's no archers in that level. You're supposed to just waylay 1,000 dudes on the dragon, and instead I would just go square square triangle, square square triangle, square square triangle, over and over again, and pass the days like that. To be a child who could just spend an hour on a single level in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
We have not talked about the music.
Oh, the music's really cool. I mean, really cool. I mean, it fits the vibe of everything else in that it makes me feel like I'm in a well or something.
So it says here that their goal was to create an experimental soundtrack that reflected the hack and slash gameplay and dark atmosphere, as well as the narrative theme of madness. And some of these tracks do make me feel like I'm going insane.
Yep,
I like it.
I love the battle theme, I guess, of the first level is like 3 bars long. It is so short and repetitive.
They composed the music by sampling. It's really weird, and I'd love to know more about it. This is something I've known about for a while, but and I just looked at Wikipedia to make sure I wasn't just making it up. But apparently, in the first game, they sampled short pieces of classical music and like mixed them together and stuff to compose it, and then had the resulting piece performed by an actual orchestra.
Wild.
Which is so weird. Which is why sometimes it sounds like your emulator is messing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's so good.
In regards to the gameplay of the gameplay that I enjoy, which is being on the ground and slashing people, not being on a dragon, which I avoid doing whenever I possibly can. But like we said, it's that sort of Dynasty Warrior thing. This is not a genre I've really played. I think the only game that you could say it's kind of in this genre, and I wouldn't say it is really in this genre, but the closest is like Mad World on the Wii. I really liked that game as a teenager. I don't know if it holds up, but like this has never been a genre for me. But what I do know from playing like Hyrule Warriors, seeing like Devil May Cry, is these are a lot of games that are like about the style and the combo and the like. It's cool, it's fun, and it's like this game is like, no, you are slaughtering people. Watch as your person sinks his sword into the flesh of man after man after man. Watch as your body count rises, and you begin to question if this is all such a good idea.
It's not like, oh, we're gonna have a twist at the end where we're like, you enjoyed the killing. It's like, no, this character just loves to kill, and that's literally his whole deal. We aren't trying to play a trick on you.
I love that Yoko Taro foresaw the Uncharted ludonarrative discourse, ludonarrative dissonance discourse coming up, and he's like, let me get ahead of that by making it absolutely clear that killing everyone on screen is canon. That's what Kaim did.
Well, and weirdly enough, what it reminds me of is this is to the genre. It feels like this is the genre of Dynasty Warriors, kind of as Spec Ops: The Line is to first-person shooters. Mm-hmm. But I also kind of hesitate that because that game is also about a lot of other things. But at least on the gameplay level of like, wow, you motherfuckers enjoy this.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Earlier you mentioned that Fury Eye doesn't talk. I was setting up to get ready to play, and I would let the attract modes happen. Did either of you do this?
No.
Oh, no, god dang it.
So the first attract mode happens, and it's just like a trailer for the game as is normal, and then it goes to the title screen where it just shows Drakengard, and if you don't do anything on the title screen for like 40 seconds, Fury Eye in a very orgasmic voice is like,
what?
Love crimson blood, and then starts like talking more and more and like talking over herself in this very like creepy, like talking about weird shit thing going on, and then it puts you into the second attract mode, which is some cutscene from the game, I think. But it was very odd to be like setting things up, and I'm like, okay, cool, like trailer for the game or whatever. Let me go get my water, and then my TV is just like, love, crimson blood. It like haunted. It was very, very cool.
That reminds me of a fun fact I learned today. The game Dragoon 2, which, as far as I know, Yoko Taro was not involved with at all, but it has the subtitle in the Japanese title of Love Red, Ambivalence Black.
Nice.
It has a subtitle for some reason. But that also reminds me of the opening of the first Nier game, which is iconic. It's just Kaine, one of the mean white-haired badass ladies I mentioned earlier, just screaming at someone, and it's a scene from like late in the game, and it's great. I'm gonna send it to y'all so y'all can watch it at your leisure, not while we're recording, because that would be. I don't want us to just sit here for like a solid minute watching this.
Speaking of Furii, so her princess gown has like these black leather straps over the shoulders and is like form-fitting and like a tight turtleneck. And she's dressed like fucking Padme from the bus stop, and I can't look at her and think high fantasy. Every time she's on screen, I'm like, you have gun holsters on, and you're in a sci-fi wet like skin tight wetsuit. That's what you look like to me. And then it zooms out. I'm like, oh, you're a princess. But every time it cuts in close to her, I'm like, you're in the wrong game. What are you doing here?
I mean, Padme's also a princess.
True, but
or queen.
Yeah, she's a senator now.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
She's dead now.
She is dead. Rest in spaghetti.
So another thing on the art is the game battling with the fact that in the Japanese they chose a lot of English things that sound cool to Japanese people and not to English speaking people. One of the funniest ones is there's the writing in blood.
Yes,
you can read it. It says "Don't X the Watchers" over and over again. But when the dragon is reading it, she says "X not the Watchers" over and over again. I'm like, I can read it. That's not what it says. I probably couldn't read it on a CRT, but I can read it now, and that is not what it says.
Maybe
Absolutely
the dragon,
amazing.
being a dragon, just has to fancy it up on sight. Because that's just how she talks.
Yeah.
She do got that Frieza attitude.
Seeing the apostrophe T it written in blood for some reason cracks me up the most. Like, this guy was scrawling out his final thoughts in blood. It was like, oh yeah, let me make sure I'm grammatically correct. Let me go and add a asterisk.
I would do that.
I mean, yeah. You gotta make it count.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything else to talk about with these first two chapters?
I am so happy to be playing a Yoko Taro game again.
You said, Trish, earlier you wanted to bring up the free expeditions.
Oh, you're right. So this is a silly thing. Again, that I'm not familiar with this genre, probably is why this happened. But every time you beat a verse, I guess, is if we're calling it, the game's like, you've unlocked a free expedition. And in my brain, I see that. It's like, oh, so it's like a little side story, like a little side mission I can go do. That's fun. I can't wait. I should check that out later when I have a chance. I kept being like, wow, this game's not really offering me up a choice. It was only between chapters that it like gave me just to back out a little bit to go, oh, okay, now I can do those. And then I discovered that the free expeditions is just replaying a level so you can grind in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that's what that meant. And then I did that a couple times, and now I feel like I'm way stronger than I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, the game Oh, when you're on the way to Furious Room, the difficulty ramps up because you've gotten to a couple of them, and there's a pop up that recommends, "Hey, if you're getting your ass kicked, you should go do some free expeditions." And I have not been doing them because I know that the game has important NPCs to kill, and you can just kill them and still beat the level really fast. So I've been like beelining to it, and I am very underleveled, which made the wizards even worse. And
Yeah, I was like,
I was
when you
regretting
were
it
saying
real
that the
bad.
wizards were killing you, I was like, wow, I mean, I found them annoying, but mostly in the sense that it's like if there were 50 cockroaches that showed up and the game said kill them all. But oh, they were a problem for you. Damn.
Yeah, no, I have done zero grinding. So PS2 games did a thing that and by PS2 games, I'm specifically talking about Kingdom Hearts 1 and this game, where for some reason, when they have this cool second like flavor of gameplay, they put the worst one first so that you hate it and then you realize it's cool later. So Kingdom Hearts 1, famously, the first Disney World is Wonderland, which sucks. It's
I
suck
mean, they
ass real
all
bad.
suck, but Wonderland is probably the worst one and is
Yeah,
the first one.
and is the first one, and you're like, oh my, this game's not going to be fun. It's not going to be good. And
And
then
you're right.
and then the next one you go to is either Agrabah, no, not Agrabah, Olympus Coliseum or Tarzan, both of which are really good. And so it's like if you go that way first, you would realize that this game has something to give you, but instead you start with Wonderland. Here
Isn't the
you're like,
Tarzan world widely regarded as really terrible?
it has frustrating gameplay mechanics. If you're playing it in the future, now because they had to remake the game in the Kingdom Hearts 2 engine, it's fine. It just sucks really bad without a right stick and the jumping physics of the first game. But this game is like, oh hey, you're going to unlock so many cool weapons with a bunch of different magic attacks, and things are going to be great. So even though you have this really slow only 3-hit combo that you're starting with, you can find other weapons that you might like. So the first one we're going to give you is we're going to consider that the sword is a medium speed weapon, and we're going to give you the slow tanky weapon first. And that hammer is so bad and not fun to use at all. They should have given you like the other one I have right now is a dagger that starts with a fast combo and it has a really long reach on its magic attack. Like they should have given you that one first. Or there's one later where you have a chakram that I remember from back in the day that I really liked playing with, and it's like any of those would have been great, but no, they give you the fucking hammer and it's so bad. It is so unfun to use.
Which makes me sad because hammers are one of my favorite melee weapons in video games usually. So it always makes me
But
sad when they're like boring and unusual and unusable.
mm-hmm.
I like when they're unusual.
Yes, unusual, yes. Unusable, no. I like to play Ocarina of Time with the Megaton hammer.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this game and its suck-assness. And I potentially, because the levels are not super long and you can just run to the end, I might start over on easy just so that flying sections are easier. I'm not having trouble on foot, but the flying sections fucking suck, and I might start it over on easy so that I don't have to try as hard on the bad sections. But yeah, I'm enjoying playing this game. But that will do it for this week. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to help support us. If you do, you'll get some extra benefits. At $1 a month, the Gadabout tier gets access to our bonus feed, where we'll have after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show that are backer only. And then at $5 a month, the Warrior tier gets the above, but I also say their names at the end of every episode, a little like this. Shouts to Frosthair, Dragonslayer19, Freddy Rodriguez, AARon524, and JFro Prime. And then at $20 a month, the Luminary tier gets all of the above, plus a one-sentence shout-out to whatever it is they're passionate about. So shoutouts to El Tantivy, who wants you to check out aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. And then shoutouts to our new luminary, Kildranas, who says to check out Podcasters Assemble. It is a documentary-style, crowdsourced movie hype/rewatch podcast. Every season, podcasters from around the world are assembled to review, reminisce, and riff on a popular franchise. And then shoutouts to Vimk, who says, muster call. And then shouts to It's Claire Time, who says, for you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game, I just think it's neat. For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish. I don't know why I tried to go a second.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye. Okay.
It takes like 30 seconds. Can y'all watch the opening monologue of that video I posted just so I can get y'all's reaction to it?
Yes.
Holy shit. You can't do this to me!
Do you want to play this game now instead?
I really want to play this fucking game now! Oh
it's
God.
So good!
You're gonna make me play it! Oh, you motherfucker!
So do you want to know the difference between Near Gestalt and Near Replicant?
Should we do that at a post show at some point?
I guess we should, yeah.
But let's put a note to definitely when we do Victory Lap to tell me about the difference between those.